The weather looks nice today, and I was surprised actually to see a bit of that northern lights yesterday. I wasn't expecting it. What's going on with all the weather and stuff here recently, huh? Again, it doesn't really make much sense. I'll try again tonight, as apparently it's supposed to come out again, so I'll try to adjust the camera settings and all that. With that in mind, what did I read today? I guess in other parts of the world, massive war still, and how about this one? A humongous drone attack, and the interesting thing was they actually kind of showed how they did it in general. Is it one of those psychological warfares? This was a special Ukrainian operation targets more than 40 enemy bombers deep inside Russia. Sources says it is one of the most audacious Ukrainian special operations since the start of Vladimir Putin's war more than 3 years ago, and is a huge breach of Russia's national defenses. In a further humiliation for the Kremlin, Ukraine's president revealed that the office where the secret Ukrainian mission was conducted inside Russia was located next to a facility run by the Russian security services, the FSB. In total, 117 drones were used in the operation, Volodymyr Zelensky said in a video message posted on social media. And the corresponding number of drone operators were working. 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers at the airfields were hit. Our people were operating in different Russian regions in 3 time zones, and our people were withdrawn from the territory of Russia on the eve of the operation, and now they are safe, those who helped us. The targeting of the bomber force will degrade the Russian military's ability to launch missile strikes against Ukraine. Out of these trucks came these drones, and they were going non-stop. It seemed like when people realized it, they tried to stop the drones from coming out. So some general stats, as they mentioned, the target was Russian military air bases and strategic bombers, where over 40 of them were targeted across the air bases. Ukraine's SBU claims $7 billion in damage to Russian strategic aviation, and one source reported $2 billion in damage, but this claim is unverified, and it affects about 34% of Russia's cruise missile capabilities. That's pretty huge. From all the information, these were FPV kamikaze drones that were semi-automated, I guess you could say, to do dive attacks. And the cost of both sides is kind of interesting, where apparently each drone costs about $300 to $600 each. And these bombers, for example, the Russian Tu-95MS bombers, they were about over $100 million each. So can you imagine that? And as well, the cruise missiles were about $10 million each. So Russia lost a lot of money over this. I guess this war isn't ending soon. That's not a good sign overall, huh? They're gonna want retaliation, I would imagine anyways. And again, there'll be no end in sight, I guess. That in itself is kind of an interesting thought, because remember how not too long ago, earlier in the year, it sounded like they weren't going to get the funding, like Ukraine and so forth. It seems like now it's still going on in terms of being supplied, I guess, weapons and so forth as well, huh? I guess with that topic of AI and war, there's the other aspect where when it comes to information, there will be a lot of people trying to, let's just say, suppress certain information or promote a specific narrative. And with this, you'd often have to have people to moderate the comments, and as you know, in a lot of places, these AI, I guess, moderations, they're completely horrible. But how about this, I guess, in terms of Meta saying that's what they're going to do in terms of trying to automate everything, as if they weren't kind of doing that already. That's my assumption anyways. It says here, Meta plans to replace humans with AI to assess privacy and societal risks. For years, when Meta launched new features for Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, teams of reviewers evaluated possible risks. Could it violate users' privacy? Could it cause harm to minors? Could it worsen the spread of misleading or toxic content? Until recently, what are known inside Meta as privacy integrity reviews were conducted almost entirely by human evaluators. But now, according to internal company documents obtained by NPR, up to 90% of all risk assessments will soon be automated. In practice, this means things like critical updates to Meta's algorithm, new safety features, and changes to how content is allowed to be shared across the company's platform will be mostly approved by a system powered by artificial intelligence, no longer subject to scrutiny by staffers tasked with debating how a platform change could have unforeseen repercussions or be misused. Inside Meta, the change is being viewed as a win for product developers, who will now be able to release app updates and features more quickly. But current and former Meta employees fear the new automation push comes at the cost of allowing AI to make tricky determinations about how Meta's apps could lead to real-world harm, saying, quote, "Insofar as this process functionally means more stuff launching faster with less rigorous scrutiny and opposition, it means you're creating higher risks," said a former Meta executive who requested anonymity out of fear of retaliation from the company. Although they do say here in a statement, Meta said the product risk review changes are intended to streamline decision making, adding that human expertise is still being used for novel and complex issues and that only low risk decisions are being automated. I don't know if that's gonna work overall, because remember with my situation with YouTube, for example, where they say it was a human, but I think it's a computer, where it deemed the bird footage in my video as somehow, for example, misleading. Like, what's so misleading about a bird footage? So I don't think this thing's gonna be perfect overall, but would you think it's more efficient? Theoretically, it would be, I guess, less biased, and at the same time, it comes down to whoever programmed it too, correct? To dictate what is considered as, let's say, good or bad in general. All right, see you guys later.